You gotta listen to Jim Lee, dude. We've had him on the podcast a couple times. He talks about weather modification, and he basically talks about radio waves and
Mm.
how about how at any moment there's probably about 3,000 like just assassins out there that don't even know they're programmed to do
That's
it. And
Monarch, dude. That's Monarch. But some of them are old. So
bang.
the guy, see in this is Kathy's book now, but like the female sex slaves are supposed to be dead by 30. Okay, like the 27 club, like rock stars have. If it, oh, but they all die around the same age. That's weird. It must be just I don't know. Like, I mean, once you start noticing, oh, I see what's happening here, and you
Yeah.
realize just mafia shit.
Yep.
It all boils down to the mafia. So how does the mafia run a business? And like they make you an offer you can't refuse. And if
But
you,
it even goes deeper than that. It goes all the way back to Nazis and just all the stuff that we just did Operation Gladio, and just like it's still there. The whole system's still there. They just have different, like they have almost secret intelligence agencies that are a form of secret societies, and they all just run different operations here and everything. NATO is just a giant crime organization, and that's all it is, and that's why. It's like for every time Trump does something, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? He does two things. You're like, yeah, I would do that too if I could. And then
yeah,
like
deal. So
getting
his
out
deal
of
clearly the deal that he made was when they were doing the lawfare against him, and it was to make him broke so he couldn't run again. Okay, and hopefully get him in prison. Just anything, just throwing whatever you can at the wall. And so remember they were saying how he got that judgment against him, and now he's going to be broke and he can't. And next thing you know, his stocks went over $1 billion. Do you remember that?
yes.
Suddenly, it was like Roadrunner cartoon. It was hilarious. Well, that's the widow Adelson. So that's Israel money. So he made a deal. He's a guy that makes deals. And he goes, listen, you could do any crazy shit you want. Whatever the hell you want, you got it. Just back me up. And Israel took that deal. So, and from Trump's standpoint, I imagine
Trump took the deal. Trump took the deal, right? They were
He made a
basically
deal.
like, we're going to
I think
bail
he
you
made a
out
deal with them.
again. We're going to
He
bail
made a
you
deal
out
with them.
again.
What?
They said we're going to bail you out again. They bailed him out in the 80s, and then they said they were going to bail you out again.
I think, I don't know, because he wasn't talking, well, whatever. The whole bottom line is that widow Adelson's the money, that money was like the big,
Yeah.
but it's, anyway, so you can see the deal. So suddenly, hey, we're going to cut all this crap, right? So they cut USAID, good, Department of Education, get it the fuck out, good. All right. So from his aspect is we got to get all the woke crap out. Okay. Yes, obviously, but I don't consider that a big achievement if you get woke shit out. That's baseline normal society that I should get to have. That I'm not going to praise you because everybody stop being crazy. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you for stop being fucking retards for 2 seconds. Oh, what's it today? It's the morning in America. So fuck that. And then the thing of letting you have all your speech back, except if you want to protest, I don't know, an obvious hypocritical, let's be nice and call it an ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Even though by the Nuremberg laws, it is a genocide. By the laws written to prevent that sort of thing, it is. But I wouldn't say that because I'm not anti-Israel. I'll just call it a ethnic cleansing on a false pretense because your prime minister supported that group more than anybody who tweeted. You scumbags prime minister paid them for 20 years. Fuck you. It's in Wikipedia. You can't erase it. That's how much of an established fact it is that Wikipedia couldn't edit it out.
Yep.
They take everything out. But that must be so well corroborated that it was impossible to do.
Yep. 100%. And I agree with you.
So anyway,
Andy,
that's what you're saying.
Yep. So a long journey back to Andy and his website and his you have 2 big fans here who are super excited to talk to you. 3 big fans.
Dude,
Andy,
I want to ask you about Stoner Boners to Bone.
Okay, so you have
yeah.
Okay, so Andy has some stories he wants to talk about, but I would like for you to ask anything you want.
Tell yours first.
No. Don't do that.
I'll talk about whatever.
Yeah. What did you want to talk to him about, Kurt?
Well, if he has new stories, I want to know those. I need to go back. You watch a video, see that one I said.
Okay, so he wanted to go into the LA Laker murder. And I would love to hear that story because it was such a big story in the show that they had in about the Lakers, Showtime was it or Winning Time? Winning
Yeah.
Time, and which ended very unceremoniously because it really did show like I mean, first of all, they completely made up stories, right? That like the whole genie bus thing wasn't even
Yeah.
real. They
He's like
they
the
just
smartest 17-year-old ever. Yeah.
they just made up stories.
Wait,
Uh,
what?
yeah, like the whole show was built on that genie bus was like
Running the
centering
Lakers at
everybody. Yeah,
16 or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And like I don't want to say anything. I mean, Jay Moore, if Jay Moore married him, God bless. Married a genie bus, married a billionaire. Good job for you, buddy. But this has been a big thing that they like to do with Jeannie Buss. They want to make her into this kind of super duper like genius, and then the NBA has to completely destroy the competitive balance of the NBA by sending an all-time great to them to save the season, like Luca. And then
And
they act like they're like, oh, we just negotiated so well. Like, bro, you got handed that, you fucking rich kid.
I don't
Calm the
know
fuck.
anything about the LA Lakers, so I have no idea.
But you're gonna love this story.
Okay.
So basically, this was a storyline in there. I'm Armenian. I went to UNLV
Oh, no
specifically
kidding.
because Jerry Tarkanian was the coach, and I'm like, dog, he's
Oh.
Armenian. I'm Armenian. Let's go. So that's one of the big reasons I went. The other one, I got brainwashed by my father to move there, but that's a whole nother story. But so let's get into this story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild story. There's a lot more to it than what was shown in that TV show, which is usually the case. But yeah, in 1979, so Jerry West was the coach of the Lakers. He resigned. Jerry Buss had just bought the team and drafted Magic Johnson. And so he had decided the new coach was going to be Jerry Tarkanian of UNLV, really good college coach. And so Jerry Tarkanian's agent was a guy named Victor Weiss. And Victor Weiss went to LA, met with Jerry Buss and like the Lakers general manager and a few people, met with them on I think it was June 14th in 1979. And then he met with them to negotiate a contract for Jerry Tarkanian. And then after that meeting, he went missing. And they found him 3 days later. He'd been shot twice in the head. His hands were tied behind his back, and his body was stuffed into the trunk of his Rolls Royce. And so it was a pretty obvious mob killing. And so again, this is Jerry Tarkanian's agent. And so they started kind of like investigating this guy. He has like all these shady connections. He was really heavily involved in the mob. He was a lot of people came forward and said what this Victor Weiss guy was, in addition to being an agent for Jerry Tarkanian, he was a bagman for some mafia people. They found all these phone records linking him to this place called the Gold Rush in Vegas, which was owned by Tony Spilotro, who
Yeah,
was
right.
like a really famous gangster. Joe Pesci's character in Casino was based on Tony Spilotro.
Oh
Yeah.
And like the scene
Anthony
where
the Ant Spilatro. Yeah.
yeah. And the scene where Pesci's character crushes the guy's head in a vice. Supposedly that's
Yeah.
a true story. Like Tony
Yeah,
Spilotro
right.
actually did that. And so he's not a good guy. He was associated with Victor Weiss, all these phone calls between them. And so basically it was kind of like, well, this guy was the bag man delivering money. He would always, every week, he would fly from LA to Vegas and he would have one bag with him. And then he would leave the bag in Vegas and then he'd fly back empty handed. So, the common thought was that he was delivering money on behalf of the mafia. But where the whole story, so that's crazy enough. But then where the whole story got really interesting is he was working as the bag man for this guy, Carroll Rosenblum. And Carroll Rosenblum owned the LA Rams. And so the question then became like, well, how was this owner of the LA Rams making all this illegal money? Was he betting on NFL games? Was he fixing NFL games even? And so it kind of opened up this whole can of worms. And right around that time, this informant went to the Houston office of the FBI, gave him a list of 10 games and said the referees in these games during the 1978 NFL season, the referees in these games were each paid $100,000 to throw the games. And he listed out the game. I featured it in the video, the list of games. And in each one, the team that the game had been fixed for covered the spread and won. So it was a 10-0 thing. And so, like this Carroll Rosenblum guy, I did a separate video on him because, like, his story is wild. He's always been kind of associated. He owned a casino in Cuba, He's always been linked to like underground figures. He was
He
accused
owned
of
a
like
casino in
throwing,
Cuba.
yeah,
Oh,
and he owned an NFL team.
oh my
What
God.
was his
I
name?
know.
What was his name?
Carol Rosenblum.
Oh,
I
so
talked
Jewish
about him.
mafia. Jewish
Yeah,
mafia.
totally.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
the
then that
real
means,
mafia. The real mafia.
Yeah,
yeah. Was he
exactly.
connected to what? Was he like
Well,
with Sinatra in any way?
Lansky too. Lansky, Meyer Lansky.
Or is that like because
Definitely.
Sinatra's
So,
later?
yeah. So Carol Rosenblum, he married this lady, Georgia Frontier. She was the owner of like the St. Louis Rams when they won the title. But he married her. She inherited the team when he died. And it was always said that Meyer Lansky was the one who introduced him at a party hosted by Jack Kennedy, JFK's dad,
Oh
because
snaps!
yeah, because like Carol Rosenblum was best friends with the Kennedys. So I mean, all these stories, like once you start looking into them real deep, they all like kind of interconnect. But
What's
what's
really
really
Oh, go
or
on.
go ahead.
Sorry. No.
Okay, well,
I'll talk after.
what's really interesting is kind of they started investigating this NFL gambling scheme, and Carol Rosenblum, I did a separate video on him because he suspiciously died right around this time. He drowned in the ocean. He went swimming every day in Florida. He was a very accomplished swimmer. The dude drowned in the ocean, died, and there's a whole bunch of mystery surrounding his death.
I
So
have
the
a
whole
rule
thing.
that you never, if you work with the mop, you never go swimming. Just never, ever swim.
Yeah, that'd be a good. Or go in the bathtub. You see a lot of people drowning in bathtubs too.
yeah. It's very interesting because right now there is a giant gambling scandal going on right now. Now is it with your team or is he on Miami now? But Terry Rozier is basically getting accused of point shaving, which is interesting because he's
Oh,
making really great money.
really?
Which
Well,
is
he'd been playing great for Charlotte, and he didn't play another game. He just suddenly got shut down at the end of like 2 seasons ago by the Hornets, who I mean desperately needed him at the time, and he got shut down, and then he got shipped off the next year. Probably maybe their second, third best player. He'd been playing really well, and then it came out like a year later, yeah, that he was being looked into for shaving points that season. So.
like you've seen that happen. They've had a couple scandals now in the NBA of point shaving, which is so crazy because these guys are making so much money.
Yeah. No, that tells you it must be just an insane. Either they're in debt gambling, or it's an insane amount of money they're being offered.
Well, it's probably debt, and also if you're connected to whoever, you're going to do as you're told. If they got something on you, you got to do. You
They're
know,
doing something with
Yeah.
your family too.
like I mean, about a bunch of these guys get caught in a situation where, like, Kobe Bryant, for example, I didn't know that he probably did do that shit. Okay, because the PR machine made it sound like so opposite of what the facts of the case were. Okay, so just think of him. A bunch of these guys are like that. They're all like wife beaters and serial, like Nephilim rapists. Like it's probably very easy to get compromised one, especially get him in your casino. Dude, Rogan told me, I told you maybe last time, he was getting invites to go to like Chase Manhattan Bank things to speak in New York, and he's like, why? I'm like, why? Because I don't know, they could drug me or something.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke. Like, he's smart to not go, because even if it's not like that, it's still going to be something.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to give you a chance to be cool right now.
Yeah. You don't want to hear the offer you can't refuse. You never want to hear that offer.
Well, you
I
had
talk
that
about-
adult film star going on Michael Porter Jr. show talking about all the weird stuff that NBA players are into now because they've had every woman they've ever wanted since they were 14 years old. Once you're like LeBron James acting like he's a press is hilarious because he's been a famous person since he's 14 years old, and everyone's been throwing everything at them the whole time. And he's got that giant boule tattoo on his chest.
Went to college.
Yeah,
That's a frat tattoo, and the guy never went to college.
yeah, which is crazy because they do it with a bunch of people and they just see who sticks. And I guarantee you, they did it with people like Andrew Wiggins, who just didn't pan out the way they want to. I mean, allegedly, they might have
Well,
done it. With
you know how that works. That boule thing is, it's like a frat. First of all, it's just like a frat, first and foremost, a fraternity, like from a college or something. I didn't know that. Steve Coakley, if you look up Steve Coakley, he was like a black Alex Jones guy out of Chicago that broke down every member of this thing. The talented 10th, W.E.B. Du Bois called them. And it's like this class horse shit where like you can kill the rest of us. Some of us are the good ones, and just like they do with the white people. Just like everybody's. So you're dummy if you have any kind of race loyalty, because the people at the top of your little tribe,
100%,
they look at you as an expendable
Yep.
pawn at all times, and you're supposed to be absorbed into their ambitions, whatever those may be. You're such a.
You're so right.
Yeah.
They're apex predators.
And so that's So that's the thing. Like all these little groups are like, oh, we should, especially once you get like, like in Goodfellas, where he's like talking about how great it was to be a mobster. A mafia, and that's like low class shit. That's like working man Illuminati. That's not like the high end.
Right.
The high end is like beyond. You don't have to worry about the feds because you are the fucking feds.
You're totally right, dude. We live in a society where the criminals are also the prosecutors.
That one chick who's trying to get those files out of Vivek, the guy that Ramaswamy does, Kash Patel, and
Yeah.
what's her name?
You're just
Pamby,
yelling Indian names at this point.
Attorney General Pamby.
Yeah.
That chick Luna. You saw the thing that happened with her, where her opponent was he's recorded saying he's going to have her killed.
Oh,
and,
was that? It was,
and that he was being backed by the Knights of Malta, which I don't really know too much about what the Knights of Malta is, but it's just a bizarre. He goes, "Hey, this is serious. These people are serious money," and you got blah blah, and it's a whole thing. And then who's that chick from? Was it Arizona where the guy told her the boys back east, "I want you to run"? Remember that recording?
Carrie Lake.
Yep. These little things leak out where you see like the guy behind the curtain, just like a little bit, like the emissary, and then they're forgotten. And that's why his channel's great. Oh, bonus to bone, by the way. So I remember Growing Pains. I didn't know that was Chekhov from Star Trek's kid was Boner.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's a crazy
I've never heard of
story.
that Star Child forum.
Oh yeah.
When is that from?
It's from this site called Godlike Productions.
And it's when
just like a
what's her
message.
name was still big.
Simpson, Jessica.
It's when Jessica Simpson, and I always remember
Yeah.
Jessica Simpson, like her dad was weird as hell. Her dad,
Yeah. Oh
was
yeah.
such a lot of these people have some weird where you're like, this is some kind of incest, culty, ritual abuse parent.
Yeah.
Just the feel of them is like that. Pretty much all these
Yeah.
things.
Oh yeah.
It's kinda, but Jessica Simpson, so it was mostly having to do with Jessica Simpson, but then it suddenly spiraled into like Satanist shit.
Well, it's interesting because it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like people being controlled and getting blackmail material on people who are in the spotlight. That's kind of what it was this message board thread from 2008. And that's what it kind of was all about. It started out, there was this message board thread, and this guy who claimed he had a friend who worked for MTV. He started the thread, and he said his friend's job working for MTV was installing hidden cameras in the house that Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey lived in. And it wasn't like the cameras that we were walking around with and
Right,
filming them.
right,
It was
right.
like hidden cameras in the bedroom, hidden
That's a
cameras in every
producer
room.
decision.
Yeah. So, but anyway, this guy, his friend, apparently was hired to do that. He did it. And then the cameras, this guy claimed, captured some really, really bad stuff, like horrible stuff. And it wasn't Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson, he said it, because they were studio executives in and out of the house. It was a massive
Oh,
mansion. 'Cause
wait,
the house
like
was
on the
given
Back to the
them.
Future set? Like how they'd say about the Back to the Future set, that a bunch of execs were in there molesting kids on the set because it's like
Oh,
a fun
really?
kids movie set. Crispin Glover and the first girlfriend of Marty McFly were the only people that like said something and had a real problem with it and didn't work again for 20 years.
Wow. That's interesting because Michael J. Fox wasn't originally in Back to the Future.
Yeah, it was
some other
Stoltz,
guy.
but that
Oh,
could
yeah.
be just a legit casting call because Eric Stoltz was not.
It was
Marty
good.
McFly.
It was bad. Yeah.
That could just be a legit.
I'm
call.
sorry to laugh at that story. So did he ever say what was the weird shit they saw in the house?
Well, so the guy mentioned it, and then he said it captured some really bad stuff. It wasn't really Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey. There were other celebrities, studio executives in and out of that house doing really bad stuff.
To
And
kids?
what happened? They didn't.
Or to each other? Or was it
Uh,
dad? He never said what it was?
Were they
No, he
furries?
never
Because that's
did.
the darkest thing I can.
Furries
Were
are
they
pretty bad.
yiffing?
Dude, if you saw Jessica Simpson as a woodchuck, your whole world would be shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met her in person when she was dating what's his name? The guitarist, John, Fathers Be Good to Your Daughters. What's his goddamn
John
name?
Mayer. Yeah.
I mean, I know him. I don't know why I'm blanking on his dumb name,
John
but
Mayer. Yeah.
she
John
was
Mayer.
in person. It was like if you talk to her, it was like the amount of like raw, like sexual pheromone charisma that she throws out was enormous. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like the weirdest. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, she really threw that kind of charisma out hard. And not like, I don't think she was intentionally being any kind of way, but she was very nice when I met her. But it was like this strong kind of thing. Like, and I remember John Mayer got in trouble because he called her sexual napalm in Playboy.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about
Because,
that.
napalm sticks to you and burns. He was just being a great songwriter when he said that. I don't know why everybody was so offended. Anyway,
In the house.
No, so what happened was the guy who set up the cameras after they captured really bad footage, he stole the tapes and he went on the run and he was supposedly preparing to release it onto the internet. And so this guy was kind of posting on his behalf and would kind of give it's referred to as the Star Child thread. I did a video about it. And he kind of gives like running updates about his friend who's on the run with these tapes because he doesn't really know what to do. He knows he can't really go to the police because a lot of it's pretty compromised too, or at least the LA police. He obviously can't go to the media; they'll cover it up. So he's trying to figure out because even like social media wasn't like that huge at this time. I mean, it was out there, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And then like the whole thread is just absolutely fascinating. It just kind of evolved into like all these people talking about just how prevalent like blackmail is in Hollywood and in like the entertainment circle, how like this wasn't an isolated event, setting up these hidden cameras. Like this happens everywhere. They talked about how everything that is like going back to the Rogan saying he turned down the speaking offer. So like all these hotel rooms are wired with cameras and like things that are calm. They give you a free car, but they've bugged it or give you something and it has a hidden
mhm.
camera. Like it gets really crazy. And then anyways, this one poster started and it was just a whole bunch of different people contributing to the thread, telling all these insane stories about their experience in Hollywood. And then this one poster, he went by the name Star Child, went by like the username. He started posting about and really getting into like Satanism in Hollywood and how he was from a very famous family and his father had just been completely horrible to him, put him through just all these crazy like satanic rituals and sex rituals. And he would just post about like the things he'd been forced to do and it's really sad and it's pretty awful. But anyway, people
He
kind
said,
of
and
started
he
trying.
said he was an actor. No, I remember he said he wanted to get away and be a park ranger. He
Yeah, he
was
said
like
he wanted to
stupid, but
get
his
away.
dad told him he's like, you're not going to talk
You're
to
not going to
students.
waste my legacy on being a park ranger. No son of mine will do that. And so people kind of started kind of like trying to figure out who it could have been because he talked like he'd been acting for a while, but he'd just gotten famous in the past few years, like pretty well known. And then this guy, Andrew Koenig, who played Boner on Growing Pains, people started speculating it might have been him because he killed himself right around this time. It was in a park in Canada. He hung himself from a tree in like this public park.
And he was a
And it
ranger,
was
right?
right. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think he was a
Oh,
park ranger. It
oh,
was
he
just in
hadn't
a
found it,
park.
but
Yeah, it was
And
just
you
in a
said, I'm
park.
sorry, you said that was Walter Koenig's son? Is that right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
shit.
he did have a famous dad. And so people
Star
kind of
Trek, Star Child.
speculated. Yeah. Yeah. And so people
Oh
kind of
shit.
speculated like that this was the guy Star Child who was dropping all this info about these like growing up in a satanic family basically. And
This basically reminds me so much of the Menendez brothers case,
Yes,
where
it
like
does.
their dad was like
Yeah,
the way it was sold to us, and you think about the media's in on everything. These poor parents, their kids just wanted their fortune. Then it comes out that they were basically he was a serial rapist. The mother was, according to them, what was in on it, and then a kid from that boy band, that's a Spanish speaking boy band, said the
Menudo,
dad molested him and raped
where
him.
Ricky Martin came from.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And yeah, and I saw, you could see a prisoner interview. You know, there's all kinds of ex-con channels on YouTube, and you'll see them talking about. I think I've seen two now. Guys that did time with them who had nothing bad to say about them. They're like, that guy helped me out. He taught me this and that. They try to make the. I couldn't believe it, because usually these guys are like tear each other's prison legacy apart. but no, I didn't see it with them. So and like I said, look at J.R. Sweet's MormonMonarch.org, because he said Britney Spears got programmed too, and they'd taken her.
Yeah.
Sure.
They took her to the Grove for it. He said. Now this is in the '90s when this happened, or not the '90s.
Yeah.
The 2000, whatever.
Yeah.
He said, because he was owned by Robert Byrd, the senator, he said, like, and they were called the CIA kids, or they called them chosen ones in the Mormons. And the way that they picked them, the way they got picked was dissociation. So, now they're kind of saying this stuff is real. They used to, supposedly it was all debunked, but now you hear about freeze, fight, or flight. In the Me Too era, some people just You mean dissociate? Yeah, that's what they were testing for. And people who have generational abuse, after 3 generations, the dissociation gene really starts kicking in. So people come from long lines of fucked up shit.
Yeah.
They're people that turn a blind eye when they have to survive. Not people that say something, not people that run away, not people that could just stand there blank. They literally, that's what the finest breeding in the world. That's why they inbreed royals. That's what the purpose of that is. They inbred them like dogs all these years with kooky stories that they're gods, whatever they tell them, whatever Scientology bullshit they tell them. That's some corrupt priest class in control breeding them. It's just like in Dune, the Bene Gesserit who are standing for the Jesuits. That's where he got them from. I mean,
also, I want to say something about that. I also think that these Eyes Wide Shut parties are way bigger than we think, and that these couples, they go to it and everybody bangs. And then if you get pregnant, and
dude,
you got to raise that kid.
I told you what Taylor Negron told us on it's an old Race Wars episode. Taylor Negron had the best stories. He knew a lot of like wild shit. Now, he didn't say it like he knows is a fact 100%. He goes, this is just a story that I always heard. And from knowing these people. So the reason Ronan Farrow don't look like Woody Allen.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, he looks like Frank Sinatra is 100%. Because the same reason. So Mia Farrow's mom used to go to swinger parties like you're describing that Frank Sinatra was at. Okay, and so when she told her mom she was a Frank Sinatra, mom goes, you cannot be with Frank. And by the way, she'd already stolen her mom's boyfriend or husband or whatever when she was 17, the same way Sun Yi stole her boyfriend when she was 17 as like a little revenge because she was abusive. It was because that's her dad. Sanford Johnson was Mia Farrow's dad. That the mom stopped talking to her. This is the story that Taylor had always heard.
What'd you just say? Who's dad?
So the mom's like, you can't date Frank Sinatra because I don't know if she said he's your dad, but that's the reason why she can't date him. And she dated him anyway, and then the mom wouldn't talk to her. So that's why Ronan looks so much.
Which brings into the whole French Marcon situation, which is basically not only is she trans, but there's a real strong belief that that's his dad.
Yeah, well, like I said, if we cut away all the crazy parts that people are saying about that story, let's just look at the story, the consensus of the story, which is a 14-year-old boy was raped by his teacher, and like Mary Kay Letourneau's story, but older and not as hot as Mary Kay Letourneau, and she went to prison, and these people rule France. That's the normal person. That's the normie level. So like, they shouldn't be running from the trans thing and because their story as it is insane. And when you point it out to people, they all say the same thing. They go, "It's France." I don't think it's a good excuse for things. I think maybe that's a.
I agree, dude. I agree. And people,
most people
can't.
Give the children wine.
They can't come to grips with that kind of lie. They don't. For some reason, no matter how much politicians lie to you, every day is a new reset.
Because you have to be part of a confidence game is like you have to participate in your being fooled, and so there's a point where, which I'm sure do all the time, but there's just, you would think there'd be a point where you can't unsee what you just saw, but that's because I must be of low breeding. Well-bred turns a blind eye, and the cognitive dissonance don't come out of their Muppet face like it does out of mine.
No, I agree. I agree, dude.
So that's all it is, and so that's what they tested for. So J.R. Sweet, at a birthday party with ventriloquist, there's this story that and some ventriloquists, I guess that was well known. They were like real rich Mormons, and so him and his brothers, they go after the show with the ventriloquist dummy. They played a game called "What's in the Box." So what's in the box? They played that, and there's a box on the table, and him and his brother and sister each went in, and they licked it off the box, and in the box is a severed human hand. So a couple of his brothers and sisters screamed, but him and his brother dissociated. They just went, "This is not happening," and left their body, so to speak. They retreated into themselves psychologically. There's a real thing that we all. That's what DID, multiple personalities was debunked.
Yeah.
I remember thinking it wasn't real because it was so debunked. Now they call it DID, dissociative identity. Why do they have to call it that? Because when it was useful to say it's not real, they crapped up the original term. So now they have to like UFO, UAP. Now when it suits the agenda that
You're right. Totally.
We're going to give you parameters to talk. So, the thing
ESG turns into DEI. That's how that goes.
Yeah, they're all the same, but all of them are the same thing. They're all
once ESG got so damaged, they switched it to DEI.
No, I thought they were both things. I thought those were not the same thing.
No, I remember because ESG was. We were talking about that.
ESG was Larry Fink's thing. Wait. Yeah. ESG was Larry Fink's thing, but DEI was part of it. DEI is underneath it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But you used to see
DEI is not
everywhere. You don't see that anymore.
What?
They got rid of that term because it got
Larry Fink said we're getting rid of it now.
Yeah.
Because they had to go suck up. Look, that's why Trump made the deal he made. So because by the way, your choices is fascists versus perverts is your choices in leadership.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of crossover. It's a revolving door between fascists and perverts, and that's how it's been.
I think there's fascists and the perverts too. I think you were seeing a lot of that stuff too. It's just presented differently.
Well,
I mean, the things that Biden was doing was fascist as well. But real quick,
the things that they're doing, because this is what I learned from all this stuff is, and if had I known this stuff that's on Andy's channel back a long time ago, which is wild that to just think of some stuff that I never heard of this. How many things there are from recent
Ronald Reagan getting pegged? I mean, that alone is worth the research.
Oh, the irony of Ronald Reagan and being against Larry Flynt was Ronald Reagan loved pornography. That's in Kathy's book. He actually loved it. They used to make Uncle Ronnie's bedtime stories porns just for the president. Did you know that?
I read the book. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't ironic that
they would read him porn to go to bed?
No, they would film bestiality porn 9 times out of 10 because he was really into that, and he would watch it. And it was called Uncle Ronnie's Bedtime Stories.
That is crazy.
Then the girls
I just want to go back, not to get too far away from the trauma of children. The Heather O'Rourke story sounds exactly like this.
Yeah, that's another one.
Rob Reiner very much believed allegedly to be involved with that, and Steven Spielberg. They were going to do I forget what it was, another Lost Ark, but Steven Spielberg's questions of the kids were so creepy that they killed the project.
By the way, Steven Spielberg, there's a million crazy things. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name, dude, but he's really good. Jade.
I don't know, the 400-pound entertainment lawyer from Crazy Days and Nights, who some people think is a lawyer, some people don't. Some people think he's right, some people think he's wrong, but he did a whole
about what?
That some of the stuff he's talking about, it may not be 100.
He seems to be very conservative in what he claims on any of those.
Well,
and he's also clearly getting blind
Steven Spielberg. In that, if
a guy,
Steven
this is a
Spielberg
fact.
will kill himself if everything that he has done comes out, he'll kill himself.
Spielberg?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he'll phone ET or something. That guy that stalked him when he was making Saving Private Ryan, some weird out of work actor, bodybuilder, was planning to rape him in front of his family in Europe. And look up the case. First of all, I mean, it is kind of hilarious actually on one level that you have to testify about outside of prison that this guy's been threatening to like that's crazy, dude. But what possible reason would you have? Oh, Jamie Deluxe has a bunch of good.
Yes. Jamie Deluxe is
You
great.
get stuff from that lawyer though, but I watch that lawyer thing all the time because he put on some good Aristotle Onassis, Jackie Onassis stuff very recently. Which you should check out because Onassis' daughter, it's like a pretty sad story about her. You start to see, I like to find out all this stuff because it gives you kind of a picture about, because some of the stuff you have, it's so like there's no context to put it in. So unless I understand a little bit of how these families, Chloe, I make that news from women with, like she's from some old money gothic horror family in finance, the LeBranches. And she has a relative in Louisiana. They come out of Louisiana. And she has some, I don't know how many generations back, but this chick her husband's mistress, after the husband died, she chained the mistress up in the attic and just left her up there to starve to death. And just left the body in there the whole time. Like she's just beaten downstairs. And the guy's already dead. So they're not, and like, so can you imagine how that's a cult to me? There's only one reason I've never heard of anybody just keeping the body there that isn't a serial killer. Just out of spite, you would want
who left it up there?
She did.
Onassis?
No. Chloe LeBranch's great something in Louisiana. I'm just saying these rich families, the way they operate, unless you come from, and people come from money, half of them are on pills. They're on SSRIs. So they're even keel level about a lot of stuff that you couldn't. It sounds like they're from the ghetto. The horrors that they've endured sound like what you heard in Precious. Like the top and bottom of society experience the same abuses. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, that's a great statement, dude. That's a great.
I don't know why. As above, so below. I didn't make that up. That's what it is. So they all know the secret, which is a hole's a hole, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
good
a matter
point.
of recharging your iPhone, not sexual. It's all about power. So the bottom and top both have this thing. It's all eugenics based, right? And it's all like dinosaur shit. And it's like, well, who's the fittest? Imagine making that much money that you have to live like an impoverished wannabe gangster and that violent. Imagine you have to be like that. Like that's what happens to people.
No, I'm with you, dude. I also get into that, these Islamic terrorists that everybody's like, you're a terrorist sympathizer. But like, these people are traumatized, man. Their whole families, their whole country, their whole cities, their whole lands just annihilated.
A bunch of them are not organic. They're just like here. Hey, by the way, Patriot Front broke up. Remember that? Totally real group?
Yeah.
That wasn't invented by the feds?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, but I mean, like, think about that, dude. Their entire family, there's no jobs.
We made them. We made these groups.
Yeah.
So how do we make them? The same way they make groups here. They've been doing it on purpose the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no way you fuck up this much. We're like, oh no, we armed terrorists again. Yeah. They've been saying this for 40 years. No, I'm not smart. I can see it. Well, like, I'm not saying I'm smarter than these people. They're smart. They're doing it on purpose.
Yep.
They're pretending it's a mistake because you're dumb.
Yep.
It's so obvious.
I agree.
And all you got to do is look at like more than 1 month's worth of history.
Yeah. You have to
and why does
not get your news
like
from
that?
the news.
Oh shit! I gotta go. Dude, I got Jimmy's show. I gotta go.
You gotta go now?
Yeah, I got rusty on that jokes. All right, later. Hey, Andy, good to meet you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
Give Andy my info, will you?
No, I will not.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye. Take care. All right, now we'll let Andy talk. Andy, that's all. Like, I know he loves you, so I want to have him on. But that is, you have to watch yourself, Kurt. And we love him, but when that Adderall kicks in, it's go time. So let's get into the Odyssey nightclub, which is crazy because isn't that the name of the gay bar in Florida as well?
Oh, I don't know that actually. I don't
do you know what the name
shooting,
of the?
No, what was it? Hold on, in Orlando, you mean?
Yeah, there. Pulse. Sorry,
Yeah,
so
Pulse.
I got it wrong. I did Orlando. So let's get into the Odyssey nightclub after we've done this whole thing about sexual perversion, which is totally. It's so funny. I posted this video about like why I'm playing a comedy club on a Thursday night, and there's more than 40 people here, but the joke was there's 40 people in the crowd. And I go, well, because I don't fuck kids, right? And like
Yeah.
everyone in the room laughed. And I guarantee you, anybody watching, I go, dude, you didn't do well. I'm like, I did well, really well in the room. It did really well in the room. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not where I am. I am where I am because I don't sell out to the.
You turned down the offer.
No, well, not that I turned down the offer. I was never offered anything because
Yeah.
they realized very early that's not my style.
Yeah.
I did remember when I went to MTV. I was meeting with them, and I had a couple meetings with them, and things were looking to move forward. And the guy I was meeting with was like basically asked me if I was gay, and I said no, and nothing. It just died on the vine right there. I wonder if I
Huh.
was said gay, would I been have my own show like Pimp My Ride or some shit like
Yeah.
Didn't the doctor ask you that too?
Yeah,
That's
I
the-
mean, everyone wants to know if I'm gay. It's so crazy to me. According to Twitter, I am gay, so I should have said yes.